carica di appagamento quando dice della conduzione senza intoppi dell'operazione di arresto del super latitante avvenuta dopo 2 settimane di appostamenti intorno al nascondiglio di Pasquale Condello, lì già da 4 anni almeno. Un lavoro di intelligence che dopo 18 anni di pazienza e qualche errore, come ammesso dallo stesso colonnello Giardina, pose fine alla latitanza del supremo dell''Ndrangheta regina.
How did one man turn the Ndrangheta from a local gang into a billion-dollar crime empire? And more importantly, how did he stay in power for decades without ever being caught? This is the story of Pasquale Condello, the supreme mafia boss. Before we get into the story, what do you think allows criminal empires like the Ndrangheta manage to survive for decades despite constant pressure from law enforcement? Is it corruption, fear, or something else? Drop your thoughts below. You've probably heard of the Sicilian Mafia, a Cosa Nostra, the Godfather type, but in the past few decades, there has been another criminal organization even wealthier, even more powerful, hiding in the shadows. For nearly 2 decades, Condello was the invisible hand of organized crime in Calabria. No flashy suits, no displays of power. From the shadows, he dictated assassinations, drug trafficking, extortion, and political corruption, all while being Italy's most wanted fugitive for 18 years. Pasquale Condello was born on September 24, 1950, in Reggio Calabria, Italy, right in the heart of the Ndrangheta's power base. If you're born into that world, then you don't have many choices. You either fall in line or you get left behind. And Condello? He was a fast learner. From a young age, he understood how the game worked. Family is everything. Blood ties are unbreakable, and power is never given. It's taken. Unlike Cosa Nostra, where you have to be made in the Ndrangheta, if you're born into the right bloodline, then you're already in. By his 20s, Condello was already moving up. He married Maria Morabito, linking himself to another powerful family. But the real game changer? His sister Giuseppina Condello married Antonio Amerti, a rising mafia boss from a neighboring town. At first, this looked like a strategic power move, but later it's ignite one of the bloodiest mafia wars in Italian history. Back in the 1970s, Calabria was still controlled by the old-school mafia bosses, men who believed in honor, tradition, and keeping things quiet. And at the top of that was Antonio Macri, one of the last true Ndrangheta old guard. But Macri's reign was about to come to an end, and Condello played a crucial role in this power shift. But here's the thing, Macri wasn't into drug trafficking. He thought it would bring too much heat. The younger generation, though, they saw dollar signs. And leading the charge was Paolo De Stefano, an ambitious boss who wanted to take over Reggio Calabria. Condello back then was one of his most trusted enforcers. So on January 20th, 1975, Antonio Macri was gunned down in broad daylight. Some say Condello himself was part of the hit squad. Others say he was just one of the rising stars who benefited from it. Either way, with Macri out of the picture, a new era of Ndrangheta began, one built on cocaine, corruption, and absolute control. The old ways were dying, and Condello was at the forefront of this bloody evolution. For the next 10 years, Condello worked in the shadows, learning from De Stefano. But power is a dangerous game, and eventually paranoia set in. By the 1980s, De Stefano saw Condello and his in-laws, the Amertis, as potential threats. And when you're in the mafia, there's only one way to handle a threat. De Stefano made his move. He planted a car bomb to take out Antonio Amerti, Condello's brother-in-law. But guess what? Amerti survived. But here's where things get interesting. This wasn't just any hit. It was the first time the Ndrangheta used a radio-controlled car bomb, killing 3 people and injuring 2 others. But guess what? The Amerti survived, and in the mafia world, if you miss, you don't get a second chance. The simmering tensions within the Ndrangheta exploded on October 13, 1985, when 5 gunmen ambushed and killed Paolo De Stefano outside his house. And just like that, the entire Ndrangheta fractured into 2 warring factions, one loyal to the De Stefanos the other to the Emertis and Condello. This wasn't just another mafia execution, it was the beginning of the Second Ndrangheta War. What followed was absolute chaos. During this period of chaos and violence, Pasquale Condello's reputation grew. His cunning strategies and ruthless efficiency made him feared across Calabria. The Mafia has a simple rule: kill or be killed. And Pasquale Condello never hesitated. One particularly infamous event during this war was the assassination of Pasquale Rocco Libri, son of Domenico Libri, a key ally of De Stefano. As Condello consolidated his power during this war-torn period, he also targeted high-profile figures tied to his enemies. One such figure was Lodovico Ligato, a politician with deep connections to De Stefano's faction. On August 27, 1989, Ligato was ambushed and killed near his home in Reggio Calabria. For 6 years, the streets of Reggio Calabria ran red with blood. Hit squads roamed the city, assassinations happened almost daily, and over 600 people were killed. This wasn't just a power struggle, it was an all-out mafia civil war. The law tried to catch up, of course. In 1988, they arrested him, but Condello jumped a $100,000 bail in 1990 and vanished. The courts hit back hard by sentencing him in absentia to 4 life terms, plus 22 years for a laundry list of crimes including the high-profile assassination of politician Lodovico Ligato in 1989. In a twist straight out of a crime thriller, Condello was nabbed again in 1993 along with his brother-in-law Emerti. But rumors swirled that Condello had already outgrown his former mentor. Some even whispered he might have eliminated Emerti when they were both on the run. True to form, Condello managed to slip away again, leaving authorities baffled and his legend growing by the day. Condello didn't just survive this war, he came out on top. By 1991, the fighting had finally stopped. A peace deal was brokered, and the Ndrangheta established a provincial commission to manage disputes, one that Condello himself sat on. At this point, he wasn't just another boss, he was one of the bosses. The war was over, and Condello was richer than ever. But while most bosses were still operating at a local level, Condello had bigger plans. He transformed the Ndrangheta from a regional crime group into a global empire. What do you think, was Condello just a mastermind, or was he the most dangerous man of his time? Comment below. His clan controlled cocaine shipments from Colombia to Europe, extorted millions from construction contracts, and laundered money through legitimate businesses. By the 2000s, the Ndrangheta was making billions of dollars a year, and Condello was one of its most powerful figures. He controlled contracts worth hundreds of millions to build water purifiers in Calabrian towns. Public works projects, he had his cut. But here's the crazy part, he did all of this while being a fugitive. For 18 years, Condello stayed one step ahead of the law. He didn't hide in South America or Eastern Europe. No, he stayed right in Calabria, protected by a network of loyalists. He ran his empire through handwritten notes, Pizzini, never using phones or technology. But all good things come to an end. On February 18, 2008, after nearly 2 decades on the run, Condello was finally captured. Over 100 police officers raided a farmhouse in Reggio Calabria. When they found him, he didn't resist. He just looked at the officers and said, "I'm the real Pasquale Condello."
Superboss Pasquale Condello e per Demetrio Sesto Rosmini, entrambi imputati nel processo scaturito dall'operazione denominata Bless. Le indagini furono le dichiarazioni rese dal collaboratore di giustizia Paolo Iannò, boss di Gallico, vicino a Pasquale Condello.
After his arrest, investigators uncovered stacks of coded messages, financial documents, and mafia secrets. It was the biggest mafia takedown in Calabria's history. Today, Pasquale Condello is serving multiple life sentences in a high-security prison under the harsh 41-bis regime. In the world of the Mafia, you can run the game for years, but sooner or later, the game runs you. Thanks for watching. Until the next chapter in the Outlaw book.